Welcome to Blame the Bible study where we actually read all the horrible parts of Christianity they don't like to talk about in church. Today we're going to finish up with part 3 of the story of Job. In this video, we skip all the way past Job and his friends talking around each other in circles. Feel free to read that on your own time if you really care, but it is long-winded and boring. But that would be Job chapter 3 through 41. Okay, so here we are in chapter 42. Then Job replied to the Lord, I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. Right? Okay, so if that's true, then every bad thing that ever happens is all part of God's plan. He planned for every single person to suffer and die. Right? Imagine the person you love the most in the world, and imagine the worst thing that has ever happened to that person. God let that happen. That was part of his plan. Move on. You asked, who is this that obscures my plans without knowledge? Surely I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know. Well, isn't that just the way the Christians say? Every time something happens that's super horrible and makes us question, like, is God good? Like, does he really love us? Why would he let this happen if that's the case, right? They say, oh, we are not God. We can't understand. God cannot be all good and all powerful and have this world be the way that it is. It just doesn't work. Moving on. You said, listen now, and I will speak. I will question you, and you shall answer me. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Therefore I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes. So now he's seen the Lord, right? I feel like this man might be hallucinating at this point. He's been through it. After the Lord had said these things to Job, he said to Eliphaz the Temanite, I'm angry with you and your 2 friends, because you have not spoken the truth about me as my servant Job has, right? Job's, talking about how wonderful I am, and y'all are talking about, like, how I let Satan do all these horrible things to Job. So, why is that not the truth? The Lord is saying they were not speaking the truth about him, right? But they were, because that's what happened at the beginning of the story. Go back to chapter 1 and the beginning of chapter 2, right? Job is the one who's not being honest with his own self, right? He got the wool pulled over his eyes. Verse 8, so now take 7 bulls and 7 rams and go to my servant Job and sacrifice a burnt offering for yourselves. That blood sacrifice rituals. My servant Job will pray for you, and I will accept his prayer and not deal with you according to your folly. You have not spoken the truth about me as my servant Job has. He's just really driving that point home. He is so mad. People don't like to get called out, right? A bully does not like to get called out or stood up to, right? He's such a bully, this Lord. So Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite did what the Lord told them, and the Lord accepted Job's prayer. I mean, that's the least he could have done for Job, right? It's not unalive his friends or something. After all he's done. Verse 10, after Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. But money can't buy happiness, people. Aren't we aware of this? Are these the kind of morals the Bible's trying to teach us? Right? I thought money was a root of all evil. But they're acting like, oh, he's so rich now. He's even richer than before. Ugh. Make up your mind. Verse 11, all his brothers and sisters and everyone who had known him before came and ate with him at his house. They comforted and consoled him over all the trouble the Lord had brought on him. See here, some people keep trying to say, oh, no. It was Satan bringing this on him. The Lord just kind of let it happen, right? Okay, so they're saying at best, the Lord is guilty of negligence, right? However, here they straight up say it. It's trouble the Lord had brought upon him. And each one gave him a piece of silver and a gold ring. Oh, the rich get richer. I'm sure that silver and those gold rings totally made up for losing his children, who he loved so much, and always would make them burnt offerings for, to save them from the Lord's wrath and keep them, in good graces with God, who then just allowed Satan to wipe them out with a gust of wind. Ugh. It's kind of like you get logical whiplash, just bouncing around from one concept to the other, all of them contradicting each other. These people can't get their story straight. The Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former part. I mean, that's the least he could do, like the least. Okay, he don't deserve any praise for that, right? It's like barely making, not even making up for it. Let's see how good he makes up for it. He had 14,000 sheep. Yes, that's times 2. 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 donkeys. Now, where did they come from? Do you think these just rained down from the sky? Is that how the Lord sent them to him? Goodness. And he also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. Oh my goodness. It's so lovely that God allowed him to have even more children. But you will never, ever forget or get over the loss of even one single child, right? Is what people say. It is the worst grief you can experience, and all his children had already perished because of the Lord. Does this really make up for it? Does it even break even? I don't think anything could ever undo that pain. He will be traumatized and grief-stricken for the rest of his life. The first daughter he named Jemima. Ooh, I love her syrup. The second, Kezia, and the third, Karen Happuch. Okay, so he got a Karen. Where in all the land were there found women as beautiful as Job's daughters, and their father granted them an inheritance along with their brothers. Oh, rare. After this, Job lived 140 years. Totally believable. He saw his children and their children to the 4th generation, and then he died, an old man full of years. So basically, all of this was a test to see if someone who loved the Lord would resist the temptation to call the Lord out for doing the exact horrible, terrible things that he literally did. What is the point of that? Is God's ego so fragile that he is not even okay with people telling what he really did? He should not be ashamed. What's done is the shadows will be brought into light, right? Why is the Lord so sensitive and ashamed? If he is perfect and he is holy, nothing he would do or allow to happen should ever cause him shame, right? If someone were to say it out loud, you did this to me, right? But no, Job's just saying, oh, thank you. And a lot of people will say, well, the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. He who creates life can take life away. But you know what? That is not how the world works. When humans have kids, the parents are expected to protect their children, right? You can't just go unalive your child because you felt like it one day and say, well, I gave them life. I brought them into this world and I can take them out, right? You will go to jail. That is not how the world works. That doesn't even make any sense, right? So why does that excuse work for God, but it doesn't work for humans, right? I don't know. Well, let me know what you think about all this in the comments. And remember, let's all be grateful that Satan hasn't convinced the Lord to put us through the same trials as Job. And don't blame me, it's in the Bible.